When it all ends, what would you remember? I work on a charter boat just to get additional income for us to survive. I'm 64 years old and I don't get any company pension. So I get a social grant, which in dollar terms is about $70 a month. Now, you can't do much with that. So I try and do odd jobs just so that myself and my wife can keep going. On the day chartering boat, a client remarked and he said, "Man, you still look great for 64. You definitely have another 20 years ahead of you." Now, he meant that as a compliment, but I tell you, I went home and I started thinking and I thought to myself, we barely have enough money to keep going now. How on earth am I supposed to live for another 20 years? You know, that's what happens to us. We get this thing in our minds and we make a decision to take it up negatively. That one thought just echoed through my mind. And I started thinking, man, I won't be able to make it for another 20 years. What on earth am I going to do? I was all of a sudden gripped with this fear. And I thought to myself, but hey, come on, man. You're the guy that presents mindset. You've been in human resources for half of your life. You know about positive thinking, you know about the theory of abundance, you know about the 7 basic principles of highly effective people. You know all the theory and you know all of that. Why on earth are you succumbing to self-doubt? But it shows you, yes, I've done all of that, and yes, I'm a pretty positive guy, but we all are prone from time to time to just be negative. So the question is, how do we get ourselves out of a state of mind like that? I started thinking that if we barely have enough money now, how will things look within 10 years? I think that is one key to get out of a state of negativity. And that is to focus on the long term and to make plans for that now. I have laid the foundations for that by starting 3 different YouTube channels. I have no idea whether they're going to be successful, but that's not what it's about. It's about doing the work and expecting a positive outcome. That's life. And if we lose sight of that, we will lose sight of ourselves. The other key to remember is to just always look back. Think to yourself, what kind of situation was I in my life that is similar to the one that I'm going through now? Now, in our lives, the one that comes to mind is that we were sitting in Trinidad with our cruising boat on the dry dock. So we were in a strange country, far, far removed from our homeland, and we had $4 left in our pockets. No saving, no nothing, only $4 in our pockets. And then compared to the situation that I'm in now, if I look back, oh man, that was so much worse. And that's the other key. Things always look worse than they really are. And one should always remember that you can always make a plan. I can try and fall back on my skills. I can try and look for additional income by doing other kinds of jobs within my skill set. But the main thing to remember is to look back on what worked when you were in a similar situation. With those $4 in our pockets, we went from boat to boat. We were cruising, wanted to go around the world, but we sailed from South Africa to the Caribbean and ran out of money. In the mornings, a lady baked fresh bread that we took in our little boat, and we didn't have, although we had an outboard engine, we didn't have money for gasoline. So we would row from boat to boat and knock upon the boats and ask, "Good morning, would you like to buy fresh bread?" So we sold the bread so that we can get money to buy either pasta or rice. And you know, that's what you do when you're down and out. You make a plan to survive. That plan worked, but again, it was short term, because you can't, that's not sustainable. You just can't like do that forever in a cruising scenario, because there's no profit really. Now, that's why I started fearing when this guy said another 20 years, because I realized that what I'm not doing is also not sustainable. I can only do this physical work for that long before I have to look at something else. Back to the Caribbean, we knocked on a boat and they said, "Yeah, sure, we would love to buy bread. We only had 2 loaves left." So I said, "Man, please, it's 11 o'clock on a Saturday morning. If you guys can just buy these 2 loaves, we'll appreciate that a lot." He said, "Man, bring the 2 loaves, bring yourselves, come on board, come and sit and relax and have a cup of coffee." So we did, and we started talking, and I soon realized that he was from the Netherlands, and he asked a lot of questions, a lot of open-ended questions, like, where are you guys from, what did you do there, what is your educational background, what kind of work experience do you have, what do you plan for your future? And I thought to myself, this is quite odd for just like a social visit. When all of his questions were done, he looked at myself and my wife and he said, "You guys have got a lot of interpersonal skills, you're a wonderful couple, you're very positive people. I mean, look at what you're doing to just overcome your current situation." He said, "You know, you need to be in the chartering industry." And we both looked dumbstruck, because we said, like, what is the chartering industry? To make a long story short, we ended up chartering on a private yacht for a owner from New York. Now, we also initially started chartering for a company in the British Virgin Islands, and our first charter was when we had that $4 left. After that charter, the clients gave us $1,500 in cash as a tip. So do not despair. Learn to ask this universe what you need, and you may just be amazed. And remember, just choose that. Whatever you do, just choose that. Thank you ever so much. Have a wonderful day.